The helicopter landed smoothly on the private helipad of Blue Horizon Retreat, sending spirals of fine white sand into the air. Logan Parker, CEO of Parker Global Investments, stepped out with a calm but burdened expression. His mind was racing with strategies for the multi-million-dollar deal ahead. To outsiders, he seemed untouchable, but within, the pressure was suffocating. His designer suit fit perfectly, and his polished Italian leather shoes gleamed in the sunlight. Everything about him exuded success. But Logan wasn't here for a vacation. This was another battlefield in his relentless pursuit of business success. A multi-million-dollar investment deal awaited him, and there was no time for distractions. Elsewhere in the resort, Emma Carter arrived with her 7-year-old twin sons, Max and Leo. The boys gasped in awe at the paradise before them: endless turquoise waters, swaying palm trees, and elegant villas on stilts. Emma smiled at their excitement, but deep inside, a pang of sorrow lingered. This vacation was a gift she had worked tirelessly to afford. She wanted to give her sons the experiences they had never had, yet memories of the past tugged at her heart. The man who had once promised to stay by her side, Logan Parker, had vanished from her life without a trace. For years, Emma had carried that pain silently, focusing entirely on raising her boys. Max and Leo were her everything. Neither Logan nor Emma knew that fate had orchestrated an unexpected reunion. After 7 long years, their paths were about to cross again in a way neither could have anticipated. 7 years ago, Logan Parker and Emma Carter shared a deep and passionate love. Emma, a gentle art teacher living in a quiet seaside town, met Logan, an ambitious young investor newly promoted at Parker Global Investments. They first crossed paths at a charity art exhibition. Despite his hectic life, Logan found himself drawn to Emma's warmth and artistic spirit. The two quickly became inseparable. Long evenings on Emma's balcony under the starlit sky were filled with dreams and conversations about the future. One night, Emma asked him softly, "Do you want a family someday?" Logan smiled and pulled her close. "I've never really thought about it, but if I ever do, it would only be with you." Emma had believed those words with all her heart, but Logan's relentless ambition soon put their relationship to the test. One day, he received a major opportunity, a high-stakes project overseas that promised to catapult his career to new heights. "I have to go," Logan told Emma. "Just a few months. Once things settle down, I'll come back." Emma wanted to trust him. At first, they stayed in touch regularly, but as Logan became consumed by work, their conversations grew shorter and less frequent. His texts became brief, his calls rushed. Emma felt the emotional distance between them widening with each passing day. A few months after Logan left, Emma discovered she was pregnant. It was a moment that should have been filled with joy, but when she tried to contact Logan, all her efforts were in vain. His phone number was disconnected and her emails went unanswered. Emma was left with no explanation, only an overwhelming silence. Realizing that Logan had vanished from her life, Emma knew she had no choice but to move forward on her own. She faced the challenges of pregnancy and motherhood alone. The morning sickness, the doctor appointments, and the countless sleepless nights became her new reality. When the twins Max and Leo were born, Emma held them close, tears streaming down her face. "Welcome to the world, my loves. I'll never leave you," she whispered softly. For the next 7 years, Emma worked tirelessly to support and raise her boys. She became their rock, their protector. Yet deep inside, the pain of Logan's abandonment remained, a scar she carried in silence. After a long and exhausting day negotiating with investors, Logan Parker exited the VIP conference room. His head throbbed from the pressure of tense contract discussions. All he wanted now was a shower and some rest. However, due to an error at the resort's front desk, Logan was mistakenly given the wrong villa key and unknowingly entered Emma's villa that evening. The interior of the villa was warm and inviting, softly lit by bedside lamps. Emma was gently tucking Max and Leo into bed. The soothing scent of vanilla and coconut filled the air, causing Logan to momentarily pause. He hadn't realized he was in the wrong room until Emma turned around, her eyes widening in shock. For a brief moment, neither of them could move. Emma's heart pounded as she locked eyes with the man who had once meant everything to her. Logan stood frozen in disbelief, his gaze shifting to the two boys sleeping peacefully on the bed. Their light brown hair and striking green eyes mirrored his own from childhood. "Logan?" Emma's voice trembled as she spoke his name. "Emma?" Logan whispered, his mind racing. The world around him seemed to blur as one overwhelming question echoed in his mind. "Are those boys mine?" Emma quickly regained her composure. She stepped protectively in front of the bed, shielding her sons from Logan's penetrating gaze. "What are you doing here?" she demanded, her tone sharp and defensive. I think I came into the wrong room," Logan stammered, his eyes still fixed on the boys. Emma crossed her arms, her expression hardening. A flicker of anger and pain flashed in her eyes. "Yes, you did, and now you need to leave." Logan hesitated, torn between confusion and the unrelenting pull of the truth standing before him. But the cold determination in Emma's voice left no room for argument. As he reluctantly turned to leave, he asked softly, "Emma, why didn't you tell me? Are they my children?" Emma let out a bitter laugh, her eyes narrowing. "Tell you? For what? So you could walk away again?" Her words hit Logan like a crushing blow. Guilt and regret swirled within him, but he had no response. Lowering his gaze, he nodded silently and walked out of the villa, the weight of unspoken truths bearing down on him. Emma stood by the door, her chest heaving as she struggled to steady herself. Logan's sudden appearance had shaken the carefully constructed life she had built for herself and her boys. She turned back to the bed and gently caressed their hair. "No one will hurt them," she vowed silently. "Not even you, Logan." The next morning, sunlight bathed the Blue Horizon retreat in a warm golden glow. Emma took Max and Leo for a stroll along the beach. The boys ran and played on the sand, their laughter ringing through the salty air. Emma smiled softly, savoring the peaceful moment after the tension of the previous night. However, she had no idea that a paparazzo had captured a crucial photo the night before. Logan Parker stepping into her villa. The photo showed him standing at the door, his face tense and focused. Combined with images of Emma and her sons playing on the beach the next morning, the story quickly spread across social media and gossip sites. Sensational headlines soon appeared. Billionaire CEO Logan Parker spotted entering a mystery woman's villa. Within hours, online forums were flooded with speculation and rumors. "Logan Parker has kids? Look at those boys, they're identical to him." Who's the woman? Could this be his secret family? This could seriously damage his reputation and affect his company's investments. At the resort's VIP breakfast area, conversations buzzed among the guests. Business executives and investors glanced discreetly in Emma's direction, whispering to each other. "I heard Logan went into her villa last night," one guest murmured. "Look at those kids. They have his eyes. There's definitely something going on," another remarked. Meanwhile, Emma was oblivious to the growing media storm until her phone began vibrating relentlessly. A concerned message from a friend read, "Emma, have you seen the news? Photos of you and Logan are everywhere. What's going on?" Emma's heart raced as she quickly opened a news site. Headlines screamed back at her. Is Logan Parker hiding a secret family at Blue Horizon Retreat? Billionaire CEO caught with two boys who look just like him. Her hands shook as she stared at the photos of herself and her sons. The images were crystal clear. Emma felt a crushing sense of dread. For 7 years, she had shielded Max and Leo from the public eye, but now everything had been exposed overnight. Panic surged through her. She couldn't let the boys be dragged into a media frenzy. Making a snap decision, she began packing their belongings. "We're leaving today," she told the boys, trying to keep her voice calm. "But Mom, we haven't seen the dolphins yet," Max protested with a pout. Emma knelt beside him and gently ran her fingers through his hair. "I know, sweetheart, but we have to go. I'll explain later, okay?" Emma had no idea that leaving the resort would be far more complicated than she expected. Emma pulled their suitcases out of the villa, holding Max and Leo's hands firmly. Her mind raced with worry. She needed to get her boys out of the resort before the media circus escalated. But as they walked toward the main path, Max suddenly stumbled. "On, I feel dizzy," Max mumbled, raising a hand to his forehead. Before Emma could react, he collapsed. "Max!" Emma screamed, catching him in her arms. His breathing was shallow, and his skin was pale and clammy. At that moment, Logan appeared, his face filled with concern. "What's going on?" he asked urgently. "Max, he fainted. I need to get him to the medical center," Emma replied, panic evident in her voice. Without hesitation, Logan scooped Max into his arms and sprinted toward the resort's medical facility. Emma ran beside him, fear tightening in her chest. At the medical center, the doctor examined Max and reassured them. "He's suffering from heat exhaustion and dehydration. It's not serious, but he needs rest and fluids. He should be fine after a few hours." Emma exhaled in relief. Logan stood silently nearby, his jaw clenched, guilt weighing heavily on him. He gazed at the boy lying on the bed, realizing how much he had missed. For 7 years, he had been absent from their lives, unaware of the milestones and challenges they had faced. "Thank you for helping," Emma murmured softly. She knew things could have been much worse without Logan's quick actions. "There's no need to thank me," Logan replied, his voice low. "They're your sons, and maybe mine too." Emma didn't respond. The wounds from their past were too raw to discuss now. Later, after Max had fallen asleep, Logan quietly left the villa. He knew he had another battle to face, the press. The rumors had spiraled out of control, and his company's reputation was at stake. But for once, Logan didn't care about his career. His priority was protecting Emma and the boys. That afternoon, a press conference was held in the resort's grand hall. Reporters, investors, and media personnel packed the room. Cameras flashed continuously as Logan walked onto the stage. He stood tall, his gaze steady, but no longer cold. "I know you all have many questions," Logan began, his voice firm yet calm. "Today, I will answer them, not for myself, but to protect 2 innocent children and their mother." The room fell silent, every eye focused on him. "There's a strong possibility that the 2 boys you've seen in the photos are my sons," Logan continued. "For 7 years, I had no knowledge of their existence. But now that I know, I will not run from this responsibility. Regardless of the DNA results, I will do everything in my power to care for and protect them." The sincerity in Logan's voice stunned the audience. This was not the ruthless CEO they had known. This was a man taking accountability for his mistakes. In her villa, Emma watched the press conference unfold on a screen. She was speechless. Logan had just exposed his personal life to the world, all to protect her and the boys. After the press conference, Logan found Emma. "I know you can't forgive me overnight," he said quietly, "but please, don't push me out of their lives." Emma was silent for a long moment. She wasn't ready to fully forgive him, but for the first time in years, she felt the walls around her heart begin to crumble. As the late afternoon sun cast a soft golden glow over Blue Horizon Retreat, Emma brought Max and Leo outside for some fresh air. Max had recovered significantly after resting at the medical center. Logan, after his intense press conference, approached the family, hoping to spend some time with the boys. Emma was still cautious, but reluctantly allowed him to join when she saw how excited Max and Leo were. The twins immediately pulled Logan toward the beach. "Uncle Logan, come play with us. Let's build a sandcastle," Leo exclaimed enthusiastically. Logan smiled warmly. "All right, but this time, our castle needs to be strong enough to survive the waves." The 3 of them knelt in the sand and got to work. Leo focused on building a large gate, Max started constructing a tall tower, and Logan dug a protective trench around the castle. "This trench will keep the water from washing away the walls," Logan explained while keeping an eye on the boys' eager faces. "You're really good at building, Uncle Logan," Max said, his eyes shining. "When I grow up, I want to be an engineer." "Is that so?" Logan chuckled. "Well, if that's the case, you'll have to study hard so you can design even bigger and better structures than this one." From a distance, Emma watched quietly. She observed how Logan interacted with the boys, no longer the distant and ambitious man she once knew. Here he was, fully present and engaged, sharing laughter with Max and Leo, a moment she had never imagined would happen. Once the castle was finished, Logan stood and dusted off his hands. With a playful grin, he announced, "Now for the grand finale, sea monster attack." "No, we have to defend the castle," Leo shouted, running around to fight off Logan. Max quickly joined in, and the three of them played together, their laughter echoing across the beach. When the game finally ended, Logan sat down on the sand, watching the boys as they giggled uncontrollably. A deep sense of warmth filled his chest. This was happiness. Not the high-stakes meetings or business victories he had once prioritized, but these simple, joyful moments with his family. Emma approached quietly, her gaze softening. "Max hasn't laughed like that in a long time," she said gently. "Thank you for giving me this chance," Logan replied softly, emotion evident in his voice. The boys continued playing in the sand as Emma and Logan stood together in a brief but meaningful silence. Both of them felt the subtle shift. Something was changing between them, slowly but surely. That evening, the soft glow of the moon bathed the beach at Blue Horizon Retreat. Emma stood quietly on the sand, gazing at the gentle waves lapping at the shore. Her emotions were still a tangled mess. Logan had re-entered her life, not just with apologies, but with a sincerity she had never expected to see from him. The sound of footsteps approached from behind. Logan walked up beside her, his presence comforting yet unobtrusive. For a while, neither of them spoke, listening only to the rhythmic crash of the waves. "Emma," Logan finally said, his voice low and steady, "I know I hurt you deeply. I don't expect you to forgive me right away, but I want to make things right." Emma turned to face him, her eyes still guarded. "Logan, you left without a word. Do you have any idea what I went through?" Logan nodded slowly. "I do. I ran away, buried myself in work because I was afraid to face my feelings. But I was wrong. Nothing is more important to me now than you and our boys." Emma remained silent. She had carried the weight of loss and pain for 7 long years. But as she looked into his eyes, she saw a man transformed, a man who was no longer running from his responsibilities. Slowly, Logan knelt down and pulled out a small ring from his pocket. Max and Leo, who had been playing nearby, stopped and stared, their curiosity piqued. "Emma Carter," Logan said, his voice full of emotion. "I'm not asking for perfection. I'm asking for a chance to love, care for, and protect you and our sons. Will you give me that chance?" Emma froze for a moment, her heart racing. She glanced at the boys, who were holding their breath in anticipation. A single tear slipped down her cheek, but this time it wasn't from sorrow, it was from release. "You really are an idiot," Emma chuckled through her tears. "I accept." Max and Leo let out joyous cheers and ran toward their parents, hugging them tightly. Logan stood, wrapping his arms around all three of them. A few weeks later, they held a small, intimate wedding on the beach. Max and Leo served as proud little ring bearers, grinning as they handed the rings to their parents. As Logan gently slipped the ring onto Emma's finger, he whispered, "This time, I will never leave you again." Emma smiled brightly, squeezing his hand. "And I'll never leave you." After 7 years of misunderstandings and separation, they had finally found their way back to each other. The pain and resentment were gone, replaced by a love that was stronger and deeper than ever.